All right, everybody. I think this is working. I don't know. YouTube is weird. Uh, try to find this out there to see if anything. Look at that. Bum, bum, bum. Still getting the circle spinning. So got my camera set in the orientation I want. YouTube still forces me to have a weird orientation. So no, I don't like that orientation. It's going to be this way. I got to work on figuring out this stupid streaming software stuff. Anyhow, still celebrating No Kings in America because, I'm American and it's not picking anything up. How about that? Well, we shall see. Anyhow, last live, little bitty live, we were working on a display case and I've got some track now glued down. Brown is where the track's going to be, and it'll be blue on the underside. And the track does not fit all the way out to the edge. So I thought, let's find some fun little models to play with. And something like this switching tower I built before, I found a short version of it. And so it would look something like that. There is a staircase. Sorry, let's get it oriented right. There is a staircase supposed to go to that little door right there. I think I'm going to make it a balcony. I don't know if I can get the staircase to come down and meet here. I'll try. This does come with a little piece here that I've got to attach. It would hold it up if I just had to go to a staircase. I've got one that printed the different orientation, didn't chip out that little bit. But anywho, what I'm going to do today, now I've got these all 3D printed. Put this track away. So like I said, I saw that one. Get my glasses on. I've got this one. And then I made a second one, and I did crack this. So this one will probably just get a balcony right in here that they could stand out and take a look at the trains. Different color roof tile, and with the gray and red. That actually is my high school colors, so that's kind of cool. Not historical. I also have one that was print and play, so there's some gaps, but I'm not too worried about it. Some really ugly looking. It didn't work out well. He's got some defects when he brought it over here and here. But I think on the display, we won't really notice it. If I do, I'll just put a smokestack. This is, again, fictitious. It's not based on anything. He called it prototypical Pennsylvania Railroad. And you can kind of see it, but it's not based on any historical structure. That'll be fun. Then I have this one, which is another one's, guys, just prototypical. The lid hasn't been glued on. It's just not based on anything. And yeah, I've got them all glossed up for the oil wash. It's just a fun looking. It'll fit in the space, so that was cool. This guy here had a print defect in the back. I have reprinted it, painted a different color where it printed all down. But now I'm thinking it has a long staircase on the back that fits in. If I can get it to sit right, like this. And that looks really cool. So I think this may find a home on the actual layout. So I'm going to take the print defected one, not put the staircase on it because, again, you won't see it. It'll be sitting in this orientation. I can cover this up with maybe putting a little mound of dirt or whatever I mount it on and may raise it up a little bit. So that's going to be the one that goes on the shelf layout or display case. And this one's going to go on the model railroad. I'm still not, I kind of like these colors, but got a little bit of the green, a little bit of yellow and the brown. I'm going to do some copper around the top flashing. And then I don't know if I'm going to do these steel colored because they kind of have the look of wrought iron. And that might just add a flash of color in there. I gotta build a yard at some point. So this will be sitting for a while. Yeah, there were some print defects, but again, at scale, I don't think you'll really notice it. So I'm going to set the steps aside. I have two actual, this one is from Saginaw, Michigan switching yard, and it's a real tall tower. Again, the roof's not glued on. It doesn't sit perfectly flush. I think this was designed for MDF and HO scale. I went with resin because I like the resin look. And so I had to orient the roof, and you can see some flaws. So if I put those to the back side of the building, it's tall and skinny. I could set it this way, have it sitting like that. I could have it sitting this way. There is also a work shed that came with it. There's the door. It has a slant to it. It did not come with a roof, so I just glued a piece of paper on, plastic card. So this is kind of sitting there. This would be like the entrance because there's no door on the bottom, so you have to go in this little shack, if you will, and then the office in the bottom. The top is where they would work the switching yard. So that's a cool little one. This won't take much wash. I just want to kind of dirty it up a little bit. We'll sit him right there. And the big one. This is a historical building out in Western Pennsylvania. The author of this STL, and I'll when I publish it, I'll put all the STL. He made the bottom in 4 pieces. Again, it was designed in HO. The top is a single piece, which actually printed really well. But he built rafts into it, and I couldn't get him to follow it off. So you can kind of see how it's not lining up. I tried to fill in as best I could. This should be sitting flush with that without doing major surgery. It just was impossible because, again, he's got this hard piece for it to land on. So yeah, this has got some brick pattern. This is the first one I'm going to work on. So it's all glossy right now. Everything's glued on because this piece, I printed this rooftop 3 times. I still got a defect there, but it kept cracking back here. So I had to change the orientation to really support that. And this is too big for the piece, but I only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This may go on top. This may find a space in a bigger yard or someplace in the layout, or like I said, it could go just be a fun little piece. So anyhow, what we're here to look at is we're going to do I'm going to start with a whitewash on the brick, and that is actually the only piece that has any brickwork on it. So that's where we're going to start. And so the key is, first off, I'm dealing with oil paints and stuff. I'm going to put on the rubber gloves, the vinyl gloves. My hands are covered in goop as it is. I'm going to try and I like oil paints because they're highly concentrated. And excuse me for one moment, do I have a piece of cardboard handy? I like to start with a piece of cardboard. And the reason for that is oil paint has a ton of linseed oil in it. So I let it sit there. And I'm not sure, I may go, we'll see, here's some black. You can see all the oil come out on that one. I may try and make up a gray. I don't have a gray in my box of artist oils. Yeah, but you can see the oil gooping out of there. And the other thing I need is some odorless thinner. I got some new stuff, but there's still some of this left. And I know it says it's odorless, but it's still got organic solvents in it, so it's still, you want to be in a well ventilated area, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's got a couple brushes that I like to use exclusively just for oil. You can see they're kind of chewed up. So we'll start with on the palette. This is going to be hard to see because it's white on white, which is why I think I'm going to add just a little touch of black. Let's see. Let's set that aside. So you can see here, as soon as we put that in, and we got an off-white, kind of a gray color. And that's going to be the mortar for our bricks. So right now, it's very thick and glumpy. So what I'm going to do is bring over some of our thinner, just a couple drops at a time. Out of the brush. And now you can really see it's getting thin. That's exactly what we want. We're basically making a wash out of it. And the hope is, with the gloss varnish, it'll not only protect the base paint, but it'll also allow us to wick, I don't know if you saw that, wick the pigments right into. So, bring some more pigments over. And it'll just follow that little brick pattern. It's not like injection molded plastic where they would have it fine. It's 3D printed. I like the model. I think the artist did an awesome job with it. But his brick pattern, I think this one was another scaled down version. Yeah. Hey, I just took a moment to look over at the chat. I don't normally follow the chat, so not being rude, I just like to focus on what is just kind of joining me on the bench. What we're going to work on today. So the oil, even though the thinner is going to flash off relatively quickly, it's still got some of that linseed oil in there, and it's going to take a while to dry. Now, that was a really good one. You can see that just kind of get into all those little bricks. And yes, I know it's really small scale, but let's just do you'll see the difference right away once, like right in there. And this is not the final look, right? It's still got a lot of white on the surface. So let's get this covered up. You'll really see it on this chimney, I think. And once we get that brightened up, if this goes on the layout, there is another side building that was added to this after they moved it from the switching yard. I forget where it is. It's like Huntington or something like that, Pennsylvania. It's now like the town office. I probably will leave it as this. I'm not going to put the, you can see some of that wicked across because it's so thin. And all we want to get, like I said, get those pigments down in there. So up on the top here, I'll be using some browns and stuff that represent just general grime and dirt that you would expect to see around a railroad. There, see that. And I couldn't find any reference to what the actual smokestack looked like. It just seemed awful big, so I gave it two flues. So let's let that sit, flash off, dry up a little bit. And I'll be right back. I forgot to bring the most important part, which is cotton swabs. cotton swabs are the model maker's magic. I'm just going to start with a dry swab. Get rid of some of the excess on the surface. And these are your budget brand. These are not name brands, so I'll have to come back before the paint dries and peel off any little cotton linters that come off. So we'll go now in the direction that the rain would go. I think you'll agree, you're starting to see the border lines. And you can see it's starting to come apart, a little cotton bud. I've kind of got to go in the reverse in the order to make sure that the pigment doesn't flash off and dry too quickly. I really like the way that looks. Some of this being stubborn. Have a little oil or a little thinner. I'm gonna have to come back. It's always a fun little game with oil paints. If you apply too much, you can always come back and add more or lift it up until it's finally set or underneath some varnish. Yeah, the weird noises, if you're picking them up in the background, is the dog. As always, she can't be more than 3 steps away. She likes hanging out and her daddy. It's got a little, now you can get a little bit of the sense that it's got mortar lines or some grout in there. And I really like the back chimney. Yeah, let's let those set aside for just a bit. And I think my general, I'm gonna go with some burnt umber. It's kind of my go-to general grunge. So again, we'll come back. So I'll mix it in a pot over here. Keep it out of our white in case we want to come back. But I may this time just grab a little dab of white, lighten it up. Same as last time. I'm gonna get it very light, almost to like a wash-like consistency. And that's a little too light now. There we go. Let's see if we can start with this Pensy wannabe. Put some on the roof. Roof may actually need some black, I think. Brown's not really going to show up much. Yeah, it's just like a wash, like an acrylic wash, except that it's got a lot more pigment. And I'm applying it to the roof to kind of act as a tonal shade. Take that bright red, which actually was German hull red, armor brown, I guess they call it. Kind of a, you can see right here where it's that glossy. versus that. Let's see what it's going to do for our clapboards. You can already see it being sucked right across. Oh gosh, not gonna heat it across right out on me. There it goes. I think on these little roof tiles, I'm gonna try and get black wash in there. So it's acting like a filter, taking everything down and just making it a little grimy looking. Okay, it's not the final look. You can see it's like pulling there, so you can pull it up. You can really get a good view of super clean versus a little grunge. I mean, really, who doesn't like a little grunge? Especially on a railroad. Or heck, even in your musical choices. Grime in the corners there. Now I applied this quite liberally because I wanted to get down under the clapboard. There's still little peaks there. And now I'm just going to roll. You can see how much is coming off on the cotton bud. I want to leave that grunge underneath. Now on these, I'm going to dry those off pretty good. And that door frame, I really want to keep that grunge down the bottom. Even this is going to be the back side, and you probably won't see it in the shelf display. Like a lot of armor models, there's interior bits, and you're like, when I button this hatch up, no one's going to ever see those. But you know they're there, and that's the important part. Take a picture of it and say, see how much I put into my model? Look at that. It's already starting to look a little more lifelike, at least to me. Sorry, I keep hitting the camera stand. This will probably come back and dry brush some highlights onto. So let's set that aside. While I'm thinking of it, let's take a little bit of that black. That's a lot of that black. Black by itself is too much. One of my favorites is a color called Payne's Gray. It's like a bluey gray. Come on. This is why I wear these gloves. Look, I already got all kinds of stuff. I'll give you a close-up of this. It's a very, very dark gray with a blue register. So there's your Payne's Gray, and there's your black. I'm just going to take a little bit of the Payne's Gray, mix it into the black. All right, I'm ready to get some fresh stuff. Now I'm also over here. I'll wash this brush out. This is going to be my brush cleaning station. When you work with oil paints, you will go through a ton of paper towels. That's all I'm saying. So let's take this Payne's Gray, because we have some blue buildings here. Now you can really see the blue. I put a little less and a little more brown in there. And I've got some, I'll take this cap off. We got this blue building. See on the top, it's a very subtle wash. And it's a black. Just get in there with the blue. So things like this big door, See that Payne's gray, that bluey gray color. And I went from that white. It's got some character to it now. I'll do the same thing with this white door. The window moldings. And then when we come back, we need more black paint. I'll come back with this. See, right here, I got too much pigment, so I will come back. I'm going to wash well and thin it out. I didn't wash out the brush, so I still had some heavy pigment in there. There. Where's my muddy brown? Chip some right in there. The rest of it's going to get general grime. Most of this will come out. I just want it to get everywhere and get in the crevices. I'll pull it off that cement. And the key to this, to having this wash, this oil and all this thinner, not going to touch it. The door needs more brown. There we go. I'm going to let that set for a little bit. Now the roof has some interesting, it doesn't have any brick base on there, but I'm still going to put a little whitewash on it. Tone it down from that fire engine red color. See how that settles right in there? And it's just going to act like a filter. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I have that blue, that Payne's gray. And apply it like a filter all over this green. This is actually German RLM gray green, or black green. They're the same color that the World War II Germans used on their prop blades. It's a nice, not black, but not green color. I like it. Let's see what we're going to do with Michigan here. Do the same thing on that rooftop. And this is actually a German Panzer gray. I didn't want it to be all black, so I'll set that aside. And I think because this is black and gray, this is just going to get that muddy treatment. And I just sprayed the bottom aged white and the top Panzer gray, and then came back and painted over the bits that I wanted. I don't know what the prototype looks like. The pictures that I could see were all black and white. So I've taken a little bit of liberty. So if any of you guys are from Michigan and you've seen this or know of it and I've done it wrong, I'll apologize right now. I'm saying that, yeah, this is a historical building, but it's my railroad, my rules. All right, let's get to it. Now, on this flat surface, you can really see the benefits of just adding some texture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some right in that little crevice underneath there. Like the water has come in and just back soaked some of this off. And some dabbing. So here, I'll see how flat that is in uniform color. So now I'll just dab. Roll a little bit. And dab, 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 dab. So it looks like it's splashed on. Of course, this also has that little outbuilding that'll cover some of this up. Here she is. Paint. So what I'm going to do is try and streak this. Let's take a straight thinner, straight thinner. I'm trying to, yeah, this is the side here. That would be showpiece. A little bit of black in there. Get the thinner out. Dab a little thinner. Dab a little thinner. So even though it looks like I'm removing a lot of paint, and I am, the pigment is still sitting on the surface and staining the underlying color. And that is a good thing. So it's adding a filter. It's just changing the shade, dulling it down a little bit. Let's see here. I need some more brown over here. Where did all my thinner go? Now I'm just making a cruddy brown color. Let's see. Look at that piece. Actually, let's play around with that black on this, right on this porch front line. See if we can't bring out some of the fanciness to this. I forget where this one's based on. This is based on a historical Pennsylvania Railroad control tower. And I don't know what the original colors were, because it's been moved. I think this is sitting in Stroudsburg. This might be an East Stroudsburg station, if I remember now. So yeah, I could have got off my lazy butt and drove up to PA and see what it actually looked like, but oops. Get some brown in there. Everybody's got a little dirt. So, like I said, sometimes you take a little creative license and just start dabbing it where you want. And this is going to dry shiny. The oil paint's dry shiny. So once you're happy with it, you'll have to come back and seal everything under a matte varnish. Number one, that keeps let the oil pigments dry and cure, and then the matte varnish will protect everything, so it won't reactivate and come off on your hand. And then the matte surface will also allow you to come back, and if you need to do touch-ups with your acrylics, now that matte varnish is protecting your oil paints from reactivating. And you can, like, if you wanted to show like they just came back and repainted a patch somewhere nice and clean. Okay, hang on a second. What's going on? About these roof sections. Now, this one, much like this with this big smokestack, I'm going to take some more of this black. I'll take a finer pointed brush. All we're going to do right there. Oh. If you've ever had a wood burning fireplace, and actually I imagine these were probably coal fired, so let's get a serious amount of black out here. Now I'm putting this straight on. Now there's a reason. This is going to be my streaks. I want this just to show grunge from the black smoke and soot. I'll clean that out. Come back to my everyday brush. And now you can see all that grime. And now when I thin it out, I've got enough pigment there. I don't want to lose it. But with the thinner, it'll act like rain. And I'll just leave all that black just staining right around the chimney. There we go. Let's go sit and dry. All right, let's take one of these guys. Grunge these up. I think I'm gonna try and get these a little black, a little blue. Where's my brown? Brown. And so, oh yeah. It's taking that yellow to, it's always, it was like an ochre, not actually ochre. It was like a sandy, dark, sandy brown, yellow color. And now we're just going to dull it right down. This one also had a print defect right there, so I added a piece of polystyrene. It's a short version of a signal tower. Again, it was designed in HO, and I scaled it down to N scale. Put some of that Payne's gray onto the slate gray roof, which is very prototypical for Pennsylvania. Had a lot of blue slate quarries. And again, we'll take that. There's that streakiness. Heavier pigment concentration. See if we can get some definition in that tile. I like it. This is a pretty simple model. Pretty straightforward. That's still plate, kick plate. All right. And we'll come back with the magic eraser. Q-tip. Just trying to soak up some of this excess. And I'll probably come back and put a little light dry brushing on this, just to play up some wear and tear. It needs some corner pieces. I'm debating if I'm going to buy some bracing and put it on there or not. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I really like the way that came out. Now this one, these pieces aren't fully, it's not glued in place. Patch it up, but I think I can. It's just the bottom of the frames. So we're going to highlight this. Where's my ochre? We're back with burnt umber, not ochre. Here's my ochre color. I'm just going to take a very little bit of it. Yeah. Just kind of rinse and repeat. Thin it down. Play with the colors. What kind of grimy colors do you want? I tend to like the browns and the ochres. As it black can work, but sometimes it gets to be just too harsh. I'm just going to color this bright red. It's going to go under the windowsill. I think this one could really deal with some colors, side panels. But I haven't bought the evergreen plastic for it yet. And I want to get the spacing done. And once you get the oil wash out, it kind of makes sense just to go for it. This one's probably going to get just a balcony because that piece chipped off when I was taking it off the 3D printed supports. Get some brown on there. I slightly underscaled the windows and doors on this. That's one big unit. That's one big unit. These are individuals. There's some extras because you had to print them from the original file. Somebody just scaled it down. If I remember, yeah, this one's got the brown roof. So that's probably not going to show much. So I'm going to need black for that. Where'd my black go? Ivory black. This black is not really going to care. The other colors. Black is pretty overpowering. This one printed, I had it at a different print angle when I redid the file. So it didn't end up with that defect like the other one. We shall see how this comes out. I need some clean thinner. Off camera, I'll have to hit these with some good amount of thinner. Good mopping up. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but you can see how much pigment we're pulling up, actually. Let that set aside and dry. Now I'll come back, and that looks really grungy. So we like grunge on a railroad. I'm going to leave enough that it tints it and just makes it look yeah, railroads aren't really known for washing their buildings. Steam era and early diesels. They didn't have the environmental laws in the 30s and 40s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s we have today, even in the 60s. So things were a bit grungier. I think we tend to think because they were relatively new, they looked nice, but I like to think of them as being grungy. Which building have I forgotten? I was going to come back to this bad boy. Some of that harshness there. Can't get away from some of the railroad grime. So the other place we're going to put some grime. All this architectural detail. It's a good place for picking up grime. And we're just going to roll it off. Like a stain. You can really see the staining effect here between untouched and touched up. You can just see that's too harsh, so I need to remove some of it. But it's taking that aged white and add a little bit of brown tone to it. One other place we forgot, the door. Doors are pretty notorious for holding and collecting, especially when the more ornate they are, the more grime they're going to hold. Yeah, there we go. I like that. Now let's go back to our Payne's Gray. Start the weathering process on these architecturally fancy louvered siding, whatever they are. I think it's just clapboard. And now maybe a little bit of that black. Just gonna touch it lightly and let it mix with the Payne's Gray. Where's my... It's all going to pull down the bottom, which is fine, except I don't want it to be blue. I want it to be a blacky blue. So right now it's just acting like a filter. Then I'm just going to come along here. And remember, this is the back side of the building. But it's probably the side that the town folks see. See a little brown in there. The paint's gray. It's just a little too on the blue side for me. All right. I think we're going to call this a day. And now I just got to let my buildings sit and dry and cure. I know I still got like some roofs to do. Let's see this one here. It's completely off camera. I apologize. This actually would be a good candidate for that Payne's gray. It's already that slate gray. It's actually a medium gray that you would use on World War II Army Air Force bombers. That was their belly color. Give a little bit of a bluey shade to it. Grunged up. And this one I'm just going to dab so it doesn't pull in the corners at the bottom. And let it be a filter. There's no texture on this roof. It's completely flat. I don't know why they didn't model in some texture or some slate lines. But I think that will help. There we go. Remember, that started out as just like red and white with a gray roof. Now, even though it's still kind of shiny, I'm starting to see some mortar lines, some grunge. The roof has a little bit of texture that it doesn't actually have. It's still very wet right there. Well, I do appreciate everyone who tuned in and who stayed for the show, if you will. Let's see. You know, I should have taken a before and after picture. That guy gets this roof right here. That's got to get glued on once it's dried. So I can already see this guy's got some issues going on. Some chalkiness coming in. That means there's too much white in there. All right, I got some fixing to do. I like the way that one came out. Those big barn doors are looking kind of grungy. This is the side. This one, not so much grunge and stuff. It was kind of a dark color to begin with, but just enough. Had some definition. This prototypical, it definitely, if you didn't see it before, you would say, what did you do? And now you can see a little bit of brown streaks here and there, some grunge. I think this roof line, it's in need of some help. I'm probably gonna highlight it on a dry brush. Same with these roofs. They've got texture. They need some work. My computer keeps crapping out. All right. Well, that's about an hour. That's what I like to keep these to. Take off my readers. And so I still have staircase to paint up, glue on. That'll probably go on this guy. I didn't hit him at all because I'm not sure I'm finished. I'm not sure I like this brown band here. Uh, we'll put it on the railroad and see how much I like it. Still needs a few little touch-ups here and there. And then decide if this is just going to be straight up aluminum or painted wood. But yeah, it does come down through those windows just like that. I mean, let's see if I have some Pennsylvania Railroad stickers. I can maybe make a plaque for it or something. All right. Anyhow, like I said, thank you for sticking, whoever stuck. And I got some cleaning up to do. Get this oil paint, clean it up, and we will see you next time. You guys have a good one.